One of President Trump's most controversial executive orders has been blocked. A federal judge today ordering the Department of Education to reinstate employees, reversing Trump's order to dismantle the agency. The order deals a blow to one of the president's campaign promises to eliminate the department. Joining us now is the Hill's courts and legal reporter, Zach Schoenfeld. Hey, Zach. So the U.S. District Judge wrote in his ruling that the plaintiffs have demonstrated irreparable harm with the school districts having delays in their federal funding. What's included in this order?
Hey, Drew, this ruling comes from U.S. District Judge Myong-Jun, a Biden appointee who serves up in Boston. And this is in response to two separate lawsuits that were filed challenging the Trump administration's actions on the Education Department. One was filed by a group of Democratic attorneys general, a group of 20 states in Washington, D.C., that was led by New York Attorney General Letitia James. The other suit was brought by two local school districts, as well as a group of employee unions who represent employees in various school districts. And so the bottom line of today's ruling is that it blocks the various efforts that the Trump administration has been taking to dismantle the Education Department. So that includes the mass layoffs that were conducted back in mid-March, known as a RIF. That impacted about half of the Education Department's employees, about 2,000 employees laid off as part of that RIF. It also blocks the president's executive order that he issued days later on March 20th that instructed the education secretary to facilitate the closure of the department. It also blocks various actions to take some of the functions that have been within the Education Department and transfer them elsewhere in the federal government. So all of those actions now on hold. The judge saying that the administration needs to reverse those, including reinstating those 2,000 terminated employees.
Now, the administration is sure to appeal this order and has argued that the layoffs were aimed at efficiency, not shutting down the department. What are the next steps in this case?
Yeah, the next steps in this case is if the administration does want to appeal, and we've often seen in other cases when these preliminary injunctions come down, they have no hesitation at all about appealing, and very quickly, perhaps even all the way to the Supreme Court if need be. But that really would be the next step, because this order lasts indefinitely until the judge issues her final ruling in the case, which could be many months still down the road. So it does seem that the next step will be for the administration to appeal if they so choose. And as you mentioned there in the question, one of the main arguments that the administration has been making, they note that, yes, these have been drastic changes to the Education Department. We are talking about, after all, 50% of the employees being laid off. But they say that this didn't violate the separation of powers because they're not totally shutting down the department. The lights are still on. There are still employees. We still have a Secretary of Education. And so in court, the administration acknowledged that if they wanted to totally shut down the department, that would require an act of Congress. But they say the steps that they have been taking here, as you noted, for efficiency and to take steps on other initiatives that the president has been making, they say that that is well within the president's authority, and they don't believe violates the separation of powers.
So for now, it would seem like this order would limit the power of Education Secretary Linda McMahon moving forward?
Yeah, it certainly does limit her power in terms of these various steps to dismantle the agency. It essentially forces her to reinstate those 2,000 employees and otherwise return the department to the status quo before the RIF and before the president's executive orders and all of that. So it really does limit the president's ability to carry out one of his campaign promises, at least unilaterally. Everyone agrees that if Congress were to act here, Congress could pass a law tomorrow saying we want to dismantle the Education Department, and that would be in Congress's authority to do so. But really the issue is what can the Trump administration do unilaterally without congressional approval?
Yeah, and of course, congressional approval on an issue like this would be probably impossible. We'll leave it at that. Zach Schoenfeld, thanks so much.
Thanks, Drew.